It's an absolute privilege and a pleasure as always to welcome our great friend to the show, the one and only Pocket Rocket himself. And it's not just a Saturday; it's a special occasion in many ways, and it's hard to believe, as I said to you during the week, when 30 years since you won the WBC World Bantamweight title, and you
Long
look
time.
as fresh and as fit and as ready to go and do it again as ever. Hard to
Oh,
believe, I'd say, isn't it?
it is because 30 years, a lot of memories, a lot of things happened in between, but it was then memories will last a lifetime from Japan. I mean, it was a special occasion, especially when Eddie Fudge was in my corner. It was just an amazing feeling when you, as a team, we did it together. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's something when that we always pride ourselves here on is trying to pull together the strings, the past, the present, and the future of Irish boxing. Um, because boxing in itself, I suppose, is very quick to forget at times, and try to rewrite, but it can't. And I'm a firm believer, and I strongly believe that Ireland back then, which we don't want to harp on about, but it was a completely different place and a different way of life, a different outlook, a different everything. And boxing then put at the bottom of that queue again. So, but it was an outlet, wasn't it? It was more than just a sport. It was more than a hobby. It became a way of life for you guys, and ultimately a way to change your lives.
It did. I say I grew up in Belfast in the 70s and 80s. It wasn't a nice place to be being grown up, but you get on with it, and you try to stay out of trouble. And boxing was my outlet, and then of course the 90s, everything's calming down, and I'd left 93. I left to come here, and by that point everything had been down in Belfast, so it wasn't that bad in the 90s really, but 70s was really bad troubles. See, when you grow up amongst stuff like that, you just think there's got to be something better than this, and try to strive forward for something better. And say boxing has always been the sport. I won the world title in '95, and things are still more the greatest in Belfast. But when you see the change over the years, so I see it more because I'm away, and I go back, and I'm away, and I go back. You see the difference, but I say boxing is always the outlet for me, and always will be. For the generation today, it's different because you're born in 2000s. You're different.
Yeah. Ian, I think it's fair to bring in this as well. Again, you're in and around the same age as myself. We won't get into figures. We won't divulge that sort of information. But it is fair to say it was a remotely different country, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, it was all right. But like at the same time, the likes of Wayne and Michael Carruthers, especially the Barcelona Olympics, brought the country together like never before. And we have to remember that it was only a few short years later in '98 when the Good Friday Agreement was signed, and Ireland as an island has matured so much since then. And it's just fantastic just to even remember that I was only 92. I was only 13 at the time, Wayne, and
still only 5. Actually, we're 5.
Still have goosebumps. Just loved the whole. Your fighting style was just amazing. Just go forward, swing till you drop, and I think it just resonated with everyone who was watching it. That here's not just yourself, but here we were as an island nation coming into our own and striving for better.
Yeah, it's
just like that. Come forward, swing.
Swing.
Oh, sorry, that's there.
I love that because it's swing, hand up, catch.
Yeah.
I did the swing. But
yeah,
when I came here, like before I came here, I learned from my old coach, of course, and then with Nicholas Cruz Hernandez. He's the one that sort of started to teach you a little bit of movement, a little bit of slipping, rolling, and then when it came to Eddie, he had to catch. And that helped me in my pro career when I'm, as you just said, I'm going forward swinging punches. I'm swinging punches, but I'm catching, blocking, and slipping and rolling. And it saved my career really when I think about it, because when you fight big punchers like Morales and Ahmed and stuff, They're trying to rip your head off your shoulders. So if they hit you that one shot, I had a good chin. But then if that second shot comes and you don't catch it or roll it, you're in trouble. And that's what the likes of Hamed and Morales, when I fought them, I had that big knockout ratio before they fought me. And then I took that away from them because they couldn't hurt me. But that was all down to the defense that Eddie Fudge taught me. And without that defense, I would have been swinging, but I probably would have been swinging on the canvas too, like this. You know what I mean? So it's a difference.
The loco Irishman, and a term that's affectionately saved for one very special Mr. Morales himself. And I won't say too much about Mr. Hamed because he was the reason and the only argument I ever got into in the other side of the world as a green Irishman in Australia back then. And let's just say we had difference of opinions in what he was referring to you as on that night in that bar. So. And right there at that time, I felt like I was Wayne McCullough, just swing, and come forward. Wayne, we're joined here by a fellow Olympian who was at the opposite end of the weighing scales and everything else to yourself in the games. It's an absolute pleasure. A pleasure and an honour to welcome. We're trying to draw all the great and good of Irish boxing into this episode here to mark what is, I believe, a very, very special occasion. Kevin McBride, the Clonus Colossus. How are you, my friend? Thanks a million for coming on.
No problem. How you doing? How you doing, champ? Wayne McCullough, the pocket rocket.
Hey, Kevin, the guy who beat the man, he beat Mike Tyson, and Mike Tyson was still had a pulse. Not when Jake Paul beat him.
Long before Jake Paul ever dug him up, you were the man to do it, and he is and when Mike Tyson acknowledges and respects that mate, who are you to question it? Let everybody else just fall into line, pal. Exactly. Congratulations. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're keeping well. But what we want to try and get to, I suppose, is we're going to have you were tipped the scale at the top end of it. And Buddy's going to come on in a few minutes and tell some stories about how you made it even harder than it was for them lads to make weight while you were gorging on fucking Snickers or marathon bars as they were at the time, man. But talk to us a little bit about, we've just talked a little bit and set the scene about Ireland at that time. It was a very different place. And you were coming, I suppose, from a similar part. You were coming from the north of the country, and boxing was something that was able to give you another way out, if we want to call it that, wasn't it?
Yeah, you get a few trips around the world, yeah.
Yeah. And was it all boxing, Kev, or was there a bit of social activity going on as well?
Oh no, it was serious. We're serious fighters. Boxing, you know, it's good, you know.
You always had that bit of fun after competition. You always had a bit of fun.
Oh yeah, a bit of fun afterwards. I remember before when I fought in the Olympics for Ireland. I didn't even know I was fighting that day, but who do you call him? They said the official guy says if you're not out in 5 minutes, you've lost the fight. And Wayne was tying me laces, just my hands were shaking.
Kevin was 19 years old. He was young and he could have medaled. He definitely could have medaled. But he didn't have much experience at all at that level. And so much like me in '88 when I went to the Olympics, I didn't get a medal, but Kevin, he was nervous and I would say to him, he was nervous then he beats Mike Tyson. You know, come on, that just goes to show you how far you came along. I mean, and Kevin, I believe Kevin would have medaled definitely if he just had a bit more experience before he went to the Olympics.
But I was at the best Olympics for Irish boxing in Barcelona when Wayne McCullough. He won the silver. Could have won the gold. Very close. And what do you call it?
Michael
won it, but
that was without high performance funding, no I mean.
Yeah, and Mike Root, you know, two legends there. But Wayne McCullough, the pocket rocket, the legend of all time. He's soon going to be inducted, hopefully, into the Hall of Fame in New York because
Kevin's jockeying for position. But I seen Ed Brophy last week at the fights here.
Yeah, I always, anytime I see Ed Brophy, I say, listen, get Wayne in there because he's the legend, you know what I mean? He's the real...
It's all politics, the kind of study.
World champion, you know what I mean? And,
Kevin, you should be in as well. You beat Mike Tyson and say you beat Mike Tyson.
No.
20 years ago.
I was just be glad to you get in because you're a friend of mine and I'd be just glad to see you get in.
No, it's him here, but Jake Paul shouldn't be counted as a loss for Mike Tyson.
Completely agree with you.
It should have been an exhibition match. Come on, it was all rehearsal dance.
And
you fought Mike Tyson in a real fight.
I get the shape of Wayne McCullough and I'd knock out Jake Paul.
You blow on him.
Lads, I'll fight him tomorrow. Yeah, and I don't doubt that, and that's the reason why he won't ask you. True, for sure.
Yeah.
I suppose what we want to look at. What we want to look at now, a lot of the emphasis, if not all the emphasis, gone off winning and representing. I suppose not representing. It's now a different selection process. No one seems to know what that process is, and that's certainly not something we want to bog this occasion down with, or this episode with. But can you talk to us about getting the whole event of getting selected for your country and that first time, and then does it come with a pressure? Is it always there? Is it something that you just get used to and you embrace and as the stage goes up? Kev, you've told us there about your hands shaking in before your fight. When our hands used to shake when you were fighting, I think it's safe to say the whole of Irish fans, all the Ireland fans shook when you fought, because it was just come forward and bang, bang, bang.
Swing. But
Swing. Sorry.
I say, Kevin, in '92 when we were going to the Olympics, you had to qualify to get there. It was the first time you had to qualify to get. '88 you could have went to the Olympics if you won the nationals, but '92 was the first time you had to go qualifying, and it was hard. It was different. People forget you win the nationals and you had to qualify. Then you went to the Olympics. So technically,
I think the last 6 Europe to get there, and I see.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah,
because they didn't qualifiers. You won the Ulsters, you won the Irish. Then you went to I went to Germany and fought 4 fights in 4 days.
That's right.
And then
is that all? Could you not manage 5? No.
After 5, but then I say
lads, I want to take a minute. There's a very special friend of yours, Wayne, a journalist from the Belfast, from your own hometown. When I came to ask someone to come on and talk, Neil was the man to go to. He's joining us from an airport somewhere in London, his
private jet. He's got his private jet ready.
Just me and Rory McIlroy getting ready to fly here.
Love it.
Yeah. So no, I'm
just. Is that a Gavin McDowell accent? Is it?
Oh wait, no.
McDowell accent,
oh no, geez, no. Careful.
People made fun of my accent for the last 20 years. That's okay.
Yeah, you can.
No, I wasn't talking about you. I was talking about Neil.
I think yours is holding up all right, Wayne.
Exactly.
But what I want to try and get to, Neil, is we just touched on it with Big Kev. We've touched on it with Wayne. Ireland at that time, and Belfast indeed, was a very different place as the whole world seems to forget at the moment. But it's good, I suppose, in one way, and in another way, it was boxing was a shining light. Started off, I suppose, long before with the Olympics Games and that incredible team in Melbourne, and it followed all the way through. But there was a little bit of a barren patch, I think, wasn't there, until Michael and Wayne in '92. The lads went close in '88 in Seoul. The big man Kevin and invariably it went on to set the scene for professional boxing for Ireland and gave us a similar outlet and a similar sense of belief and pride that the lads did in Italia '90 and of course the great Northern Ireland team under Billy Bingham as well.
Did and I mean, you mentioned the barren spell that there was. Like the late great Hugh Russell, who was a photographer with the Irish News, a colleague of mine and a really good friend of mine. He obviously won a bronze in Moscow in '84, which ended, I think was that for like maybe a 16-year barren run from Jim McCourt. There had been nobody, and then as you mentioned, like Wayne and Michael Cruth and a lot of guys went, and John Laurie and stuff went in '88, but '92 was just a moment in time. I suppose, like I was 11 years old watching that, and I just remember it's mad because I've covered Olympic Games since, and you kind of become accustomed to the, just one fight after another fight after another fight. But at that time it's so unusual. Like, I think Wayne and Michael, you can correct me, Wayne, if I'm wrong, but you must have been. I think was Michael near enough the next fight after you, or maybe 2 fights, was he?
Yeah, it was right after the final. In the final, they did like light fly, bantam, lightweight. They did in between weights.
Yeah. Okay.
And actually, right after my fight was Oscar De La Hoya.
Yeah.
And then,
so
Michael.
Who's? I don't think I know that lad. Who's he?
The one with the fishnet stockings.
Oh, geez. You can say that.
We're getting saucy now. We're getting saucy now.
A guy like Oscar, he's a good, like a
Shots fired. But we talk about Neil. We talk about we talk about momentous occasions. Those Olympic finals were everything that you could imagine, and
Oh,
it's not to
crazy! Like,
dilute, or it's not to dilute, and it's not to compare. But the closest I've seen, listen, Katie was so out there on her own. Her talent was and is, it's so unique. What we saw with at the time, I think boxing all over the world seemed to be trying to find a foothold and was really breaking out. And we had such people who went on to be household names, like, for all the good or the bad or whatever we may say, Oscar himself, what he did at that time was incredible. Wayne was our golden boy at the time. And then we had big Kev came along, who he'll be the first every time. And I listen, Kev, if I ever get to stand beside you, I probably have to check myself and find how I say it. But mate, I'm a little bit tired of you putting yourself down, because you were the one to do it. You did it when no one else could flip and do it.
absolutely, got
It's
there.
time we start. It's time we start doing it and talking about it and putting some respect on it, because it was an incredible. But all those events seemed to come one after the other, Neil. From having nothing, it was like waiting on a bus in Belfast, wasn't it? There was 3 or 4 coming at the same time.
It was, but and like, just to get a bit more Wayne specific, like, you know, Wayne was one of these kids who everybody in Irish boxing, I remember, knew about, like, you know, because back then, as you mentioned, boxing did shine a bit of a beacon in difficult times. I always remember my dad would have taken me to, well, a lot of the Ulster Hall nights, because back then there was a lot of this mad kind of contingent of foreign boxers who were all based in Eastwood's gym, down like just off Castle Street in Belfast, like Crisanto Espana and guys like that. But then you had Wayne, you know, like guys like Wayne, who you'd have seen boxing at the Ulster seniors in the Ulster Hall, and that's when you first became aware of people like that. And to then see Wayne progress on to like the Olympic stage, it's, you know, another thing people have to remember sometimes is that so much is exposed now through social media and even like wider television coverage and stuff. But like seeing somebody like who from the same streets as you, all of a sudden on this stage in Barcelona, like it just, and maybe it's because of the age I was too, but it was just it just seemed a lot more like extraordinary, nearly, because you just were not used to seeing that, as you mentioned. Like Soul, all my memories of Soul are like Carl Lewis, Ben Johnson, all that kind of stuff. You know, they're very little from and maybe Roy Jones, that kind of thing, but not Irish boxing wise. And then you had somebody like Wayne and Michael Carruth coming along too in the one morning or afternoon, I think, and blazing a trail really for generations to come. And you knew with Wayne as well. And I would say this to Michael, like I think everybody probably wondered what kind of a pro Michael was going to be, because he had that such a, you know, a defined amateur style, the way that he boxed on the back foot. You know, he was constantly on the move. Whereas Wayne, again, you could see was like perfect. He was just perfect for the pro game, that come forward style, like, you know, the head movement, the body shots. He had it all, you know. So it was exciting from that point of view, because he was still so young as well, and there was so much potential there. Little did we know what was to come.
We talk about Eastwood Gym.
Lads, if we talk Ian,
I took part in that sparring down there with Fidel Bassa. I sparred Fidel Bassa when he beat Dave McCullough. I sparred Paul Hodgkinson, Dave McCullough. You know, the experience I was getting back then as a 15, 16-year-old. Because my brother was there sparring as well, so I went down with him. Back then, even Kevin knows, you weren't allowed to spar with pros or anything. You weren't allowed. Irish boxing wouldn't allow you, but that gives you more experience when you're sparring with pros, and that helped my style. That's how my style was like a semi-pro, because I snuck in and sparred the pros. And they weren't trying to rip my head off my shoulders, but Fidel Bassa, the first day I sparred him, I was going down to the fight in the All Ireland Youth, I think it was, that week, and I sparred. And they asked me afterwards, "Can you stay the whole week?" I'm like, "I have to go down and fight in the All Irelands." And they love the pressure style and the output. And I say, with back then with Kevin and me, you know, going to the Olympics, you know, you went there with, you might have had a job, you might have worked 9 to 5. There was no high performance funding.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, then you put together with Nicholas for 5 weeks. You know, you weren't training full time really.
Were you there with Trop and Dewey? Sorry, I was saying, Wayne, were you there in the Trop and Daly days as well, or did you last the pace in the trip out to Kerry?
Was that the first Cuban guy was there?
Okay. Yeah.
No, I was Nicholas was there in '88, and he didn't go to the Olympics in '88. He was doing training. But 1990, he trained us for the Commonwealth Games. He trained us for the. I keep saying it. Nobody ever mentioned, even on the Irish, down in the national stadium when they have medalists. I won Ireland's only ever World Cup medal, bronze medal, in Bombay, India. And you had to fight for the bronze medal when you lost the semi-final. You only won bronze. And they don't even have it on the board to say, I won a bronze medal at the World Cup. It's the only medal we ever got in a World Cup competition. And the World Cup spanned for like 30 or 40 years or something. So,
well, something I've always wondered, and again, it's not to compare, and I don't like comparing, but invariably you kind of have to across generations will stand up in time. It's something to be decided in time, and I think it's something that we humans, I suppose, and the social media era is quick to do or try to. But what I would often ask, and I want to kind of bring Kev in on this as well, something I notice, and I can't help notice, and it's without being an offense or being offensive to anybody in any era or generation, is it seems to me like there was a mindset over talent at that stage. Not to say that any of you guys were less talented, but we're told in this day and age that the talent, and there's a natural talent, and it's discovered very early, it's taken in, it's funded, it's nurtured, it's put together, and it's almost organically grown, if that's the right words. I'm being very careful here how I choose my words. But I'm not being disrespectful, and I knew you'd chime in with something there, all right. But what I'm trying to say is the mindset was something that ran through all you guys from as far back as I can remember. Now, my wife will tell me that I'm ageist, and yeah, maybe I am, but I genuinely do believe that it's something you can recognize. Neil, maybe you can. I wanted to say it to Kev because Kev was able to tell us his hands were shaking. I would say, again, his hands were shaking. That's the same, something that we were allowed in to see that. You know what I mean? We could relate to that. We could resonate with it. Eric Morales was rattling and shaking in the dressing room after the fight. All the way through, we were rattling and shaking all the way through the fight. Am I picking on something? Am I wrong? Do you think, is it just something everybody sees something different, or is it something that you think is something that's noticeable?
It's interesting, boxing's such when it comes to Olympic Games, boxing's such a funny thing. And like, I was over in Paris last summer, and you're seeing, I think maybe sometimes people don't quite realize it. You have a 4-year Olympic cycle there, and it all essentially comes down to like 9 minutes. You know what I mean? That first fight, like, so, I've been to a couple of Olympic Games now, luckily, and you're seeing kids who have put their heart and soul in it, just as Wayne and Kevin did back in the day, and put their heart and soul in it, and then in the blink of an eye, it's gone. Do you know, like that's it. 4 years worth of building towards your dream, preparation of, and they talk a lot about post-Olympic blues and stuff, and I can see exactly why, because it's such an almighty come down whenever you've had such a sole focus for that time. Back then, it was, as Wayne touched upon, totally different, because you're dealing with guys who are working day jobs a lot of the time. Like, I remember Jim McCourt, I think, went back to work the next day. I remember talking to Shawnee, what do you call him, Shawnee McCafferty, and he lost his job, I think, because he couldn't get 2 weeks off work to go and represent his country at the Olympic Games. It's just crazy, the difference that makes.
As well, when I went to the Olympics in 88 and 92, the Shanghai unemployment that took the money away from me. They wouldn't give me the money because they said it wasn't representing names.
My flight is just boarding here, so I'm going to have to run.
Okay, all the best, mate.
Neil, thanks a million for coming on, Neil. I really appreciate it. Thank
I'll
you.
be in touch. I'll be in touch soon. But thanks very much for that, guys.
Well, I've told you before, Al, that they took my money away from me in 88 and 92, just to go to the Olympics, because it wasn't representing Ireland or Northern Ireland. So they couldn't do that today. But even now, when I mention it, nothing was ever done about it, and it should have been done, because I'm representing the whole country, north and south. And I told the guy in the Dole office on the Shanghai Road, I'm representing the whole country, and he's like, "You're not." While he was behind the glass partition.
Of course.
I mean, you couldn't say it.
We're joined here. We're trying to bridge gap. We're trying to bridge boundaries, countries, time zones. We're talking different eras, different generations. We're joined, of course, by a man who has an incredible link. Alex Arthur, you worked with Wayne as a pro. He's a very, very own modern day version of Scotland's Braveheart. We're joined, of course, Alex, by Wayne Pocket Rocket and big Kevin McBride, who beat Mike Tyson long before Jake Paul was even born. So lad, it's a real
I'll
pleasure
look
to
at
have you on, Alex,
Alex
and thank you.
Alex is a movie star. Damn good looks. Damn good looks.
Politician, promoter,
It's a
he's a
pleasure.
very
Your goodness.
he's Scotland's
It's great to
Oscar
be,
de la
it's great to be on with you. You know, sorry about the attire, but the sun's out in Scotland. So when the sun's out in Scotland, we don't wear tops.
When the
We
sun's
don't wear
out in Belfast, they're out sitting outside the pubs.
You're not sorry at all. Alex, what I want to try and talk about.
Alex, over here, we want the sun to go away. There's too much sun.
Oh my God. We don't have that issue. Kev, talk about that mind.
What's the crack then, lads? What's the crack? What's the crack?
Alex, we're talking about the transition, I suppose, from amateur, because the lads had a very integrated. Of course, Wayne was a standout amateur career. Kevin's was progressing, as he said. He was telling stories about being in the 88 Soul Olympics, and of course went on to have such a huge event and really did shake the world of boxing as a pro so many years later. And I've just said to him a few minutes ago, if I ever get to stand beside him, we're going to have words, because he's constantly playing it down and understating it or whatever else. But Kevin, can I ask you, if you don't mind me, Kev, and this is with all, I just want to know, I suppose, again, it's that transition from amateur to pro, and it's something that a lot of people, fans, and of course in the social media era, see it as just going to happen. It's only a matter of thing. But can you lads talk to us about that transition? And is there varying levels of difficulty for different people, or is it the same across the board? Jamie Conlon once told me it's like pool and snooker.
Yeah, like anything, like you go to professional, you know, it's a tough game. With boxing, but amateur boxing is tough. Professional, like Wayne the Pago Rocket, he proved that he was a go forward fighter, and
you know, good. Come and chill in.
Sorry.
Keep talking.
Oh, sorry, and what do you call it? But Wayne the Pago Rocket, he's like he was just like made for the pros, you know. And like myself there, like I don't know much about the Olympics. All I remember, a year before the Olympics, I had 3 weeks holiday, so I had to get there, you know, to see what it's like.
What about yourself, Alex? From your point of view, Alex?
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, like you said, obviously Kevin said Wayne was made for the pros, but when you look at Wayne's amateur career as well and what he achieved, especially in Barcelona, it was like, you know, he could do everything. He could do everything. He could, you know, he could box in the upper echelons, the world amateur boxing as well, and then obviously professional boxing. He was unbelievable in the pros because he had that unbelievable engine that he could just keep going and going and going. He had that iron chin, but in the amateurs as well, Wayne showed unbelievable amounts of like style, and you know, like he was obviously got a lot of help for like Nicholas Cruz, and you know, he developed some like Cuban attributes and some styles there as well. So, you know, Wayne was just built for boxing overall. He was just brilliant at every form of boxing, amateur, pro, whatever it was. He was good at all. He was just good at all.
Alex is being humble there, but everybody forgets about Alex. He was a world champion, but he also beat Ricky Burns.
I was just going to say that, Jim.
And I was in the corner that night, remember, Alex? He beat Ricky Burns.
Our account for Ricky Burns, like one of the biggest regrets in my whole career. Like Wayne was, most people know that Wayne was like a hero of mine as a child. So Barcelona, I think on the year of Barcelona, I won my first British junior title, and I remember like winning the title and coming back, and Wayne was fighting in the Olympics, and everybody in Scotland was supporting Wayne, and you know, I was obsessed with the way that he fought, and you know, his attributes, his personality, everything about him. And then obviously as the years went on, we became good friends. He became my coach. Yeah. The one biggest regret in my whole career is that I never met Wayne McCullough when I started boxing to when I finished, because I believe if I met Wayne when I started professional boxing to when I finished, I think I would have won world titles in loads of weight divisions, because we just blended perfectly.
You almost came over here in '99. Remember to spar me for the Morales fight? Remember that? Yeah. You made contact. We almost, because your style was sort of similar to Morales, stand up, taller than me, and that almost came to fruition, but didn't. But we always we'd stayed in touch for a while, and then all of a sudden we got together.
Yeah.
And I Scotland, and then
And then you still beat me up in sparring, even when you were my coach. You still beat me up in sparring.
That's when I put my punch mitts. They put the punch mitts on, they hit you back.
Well, do you know
That's
what
normal.
though? Well,
Everybody calls them the flashbacks.
I remember one day we were supposed to go to Top Rank. We were supposed to go to Top Rank and spar, and the lads never came. They weren't going to come, so he said, "Alex, I'll spar with you today because we can't go spar at Top Rank." So I sparred with Wayne, and you know what it's like when you're in like the ring with your hero. It's difficult to like let your hands go a little bit. But he was beating the shit out of me, so I had no choice but to like
He's a
try
liar.
and fight back
He's
a
a
wee.
liar. Kevin, he's a liar. He really is.
Yeah, Ian,
And
Ian,
Matthew,
something we always
there's Matthew.
All
Ian,
right.
Ian, something we always talk about when we're joining these big fights. And what we're trying to do here, Alex, is you'll see right beside you on the screen, and you're on the left of my screen, in between Big Kev and Matthew Tyndall. Matthew has just he's an Irish professional. He's just travelled to Vegas. He's 2 weeks in. Big promise, big talent, big potential, and very similar to yourself. I think will benefit massively, and will, I suppose, it'll only enhance his already talent. Can you talk to us a little bit? Myself and Ian always talk about mindset. We always talk about these big fights, and Kev has just dropped off the screen there. But what each of you guys as a pro had your big fights. I mean, you had Michael Gomez, so
Yeah.
in that fight, of course, it didn't work out well on that night. But in the scale and in hindsight and in the whole landscape of your career, it probably went to benefit you in the long run because of
No, for sure, 100%, 100%. And like I said before, if I was with Wayne at that time and in that situation, Wayne would not have let me fight that fight, because I don't know if it's like obvious for you guys and stuff, but in the build up to the fight, I had terrible preparation. I got really, really sick before the match, and no one was really there to look after me, to be honest with you. And Wayne's whole thing was that you were 100%. You were always 100%, and he would have looked after me. And he would have basically said, "Alex, you're not fighting this fight. You're not 100%. You're out. We can do this fight another time when you're 100%." So, but at the same time as well, that's the kind of things that in our era that the likes of me and Wayne and stuff learned from. We learned for the hardships, the bad nights, the kind of made us who we were, and I probably wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change that, the aspect of that. But what you were saying earlier, like about that kind of like situation, it always blows my mind that people aren't flocking to Wayne for training. I'm always shocked that Wayne McCullough's not got like 10 world champions, that people only like flood into him for them to train him, because in my opinion, he's the best trainer I ever worked with. The guy's a genius when it comes to boxing. All he is boxing. If you cut Wayne's head open, it's just a big boxing glove. That's all it's there.
I appreciate that. Really do.
What I wanted to touch on as well is, again, and we can't mention Wayne McCullough. We can't talk about Wayne McCullough's pro career, which is what everybody remembers. We can't without talking about the great late Eddie Futch. How much of everything that Alex is saying, everything that you speak to me every time we speak, and every single time I talk to Matthew and I talk to you about Matthew, it's all been about getting the persons right. And everything Alex has said there is something that I've banged my head off the wall thinking and wondering why. To me, it's all about getting the right person. I believe you now have the right lads there. You've got Sean and Matthew who are going all in. And there's only one way to go in this game. But tell us a little bit about Alex has learned from you, which invariably you have learned from Eddie. So it's a very special to be able to say, not just are we 30 years on from you winning your WBC title, but the legacy and the methods and the style of Eddie Futch is very much alive, isn't it?
Yeah, well, as Alex said there, I would love to have had Alex from the beginning as well, but it didn't work out. I was here, he was there. He was supposed to come over here for the Morales thing, it didn't happen. But we got together in the end. And I say you get that strap, you know what I mean? Where Matthew and Sean are more or less here at the start of their careers. And they're young, 22 and 19, so they're willing to take that opportunity, and I told me the other day, both of them, I'm going to give them 100% of me. What Eddie taught me, what I learned, I'm going to give it back to them and make them the best they can be here. And I really believe both guys are big world champions because they listen well, they do everything right, And Alex Arthur would have did that too. Big Kevin, if he would have been the same. Big Kevin would have been here. I would love to have had him here as well. But people in life, people go in different directions. You can't control it.
Yeah,
But
that's true.
Alex
Yeah,
is
yeah,
the world
yeah,
champion.
that's so true.
Kevin
Yeah.
beat Mike Tyson. So
Oh.
it's two big things there.
Guys on Monday?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Matthew, something I wanted to
Yeah.
kind of thanks a million for joining us. What we're trying to do is link up, I suppose, 30 years of the past, present, and future is something we try to do all the time. So you're in good company here.
Yeah.
Talk to us a little about the difference. And look, you've never held back, so you don't talk much all the time. You're not one to talk all the time, but something you've always been very vocal on is coaching and how the coaching and how am I going to say this without? There's no nice way of saying this, but there's a certain level of coaching in the amateur setup at the moment, not just in Ireland. I'm sure Alex will be able to vouch for this as well. That there's a lot of people talking about stuff that they've never done. What you've got now is you've got a benefit of people every single minute of your day around you who have not just lived it, they've done it, they've walked it, they've done it in the footsteps of probably, in my opinion, the greatest boxing coach of all time across all generations, up there alongside and the late great Manuel Stewart. Talk to us a little bit about that, and I'm going to let you choose your words here, and Alex, you can come in on it as well, and then something I want the three of you to talk on from a coaching point of view, because it's something that I think it's something that just it'll be an interesting. I'll let you word it because it's from a non-boxing point of view, it's important to choose your words carefully. So you boys say it as you see it.
Well, I just think I've been here 2 weeks now with Wayne, and already it's how quickly he can change it. 2 weeks ago, my defense is always good, but now he has me just casually just blocking shots like it's nothing. And back home when you're training, you don't get taught that. You just get taught to go, just throw punches or whatever. But coming here, you really learn how to defend shots. You really learn how to actually punch as a professional. And that's what is missing back in Ireland. And I'm just delighted to be here doing it with Wayne, because I have all the trust in the world in him. As he said, he's going to give 100% to me and Sean, and we're going to give 100% to him. And that's all you can ask for between a boxer and a coach.
How you get better. If you don't practice things, you don't get better. I could say do this, but you may not listen.
Yeah.
And when Alex was here, Alex the same way. Alex got better, and
100%.
Matthew and Sean, both of them are getting better quickly. So
100%.
and I say they're young, where they go back to their apartment. They're luxury.
I always say,
I want to move into it.
you know what I always say, like when people talk about boxing and coaching and whatever, I says if Wayne McCullough's talking, just be quiet and listen. Just be quiet and listen to what he's saying, because when Wayne talks, you should just be quiet, absorb what he's telling you, because the experience, the way that he's lived his life, the coaches he's had, obviously. Eddie Futch is like the Muhammad Ali coaches. He's like probably the greatest coach of all time. He's the success levels he had with the fighters that he had and what he could teach them. Wayne absorbs all that stuff. He misses nothing. He picks up every little detail and he passes it on to you in his own way. And it's really like unique and special when he's like, when you're in the ring with Wayne and he's telling you, all you need to do is like tip your head an inch and that's you, you're fine. You would never think of things like that. So when Wayne talks, everybody should just be quiet and listen. That's my opinion on that.
No, I appreciate it.
I'm sure Wayne has probably forgotten more things about boxing than a lot of people actually know.
Last night when he went to bed, he forgot more than most people know.
No, with Eddie Fudge, Eddie, I was close to Eddie until he passed away at 90. He used to love to see my daughter coming down to him just to spend time with him. But he practically taught me everything he knows. And I've told you before, they give me a letter. It's on my gym wall. It's like, to me, that's like getting a diploma at a university or something.
Oh, 100%.
And I'm the only fighter he gave it to. And but Alex said, and there a few minutes ago, that why his fighters not came, because if somebody comes with me for 5 or 10 minutes, I can show them something. And all these top Joshua and Fury, all these guys, to me, I think they're doing what they want to do and not being told what to do. And every fighter needs to be told what to do
Oh, 100%.
Otherwise, you're calling the shots, and because they defense, anybody can throw. You come to me, you know how to throw punches. I can show you how to sit down your punches, hit harder, but I can show you how to block the catch the shots, and take less impact off it and hit the guy back. And the likes of Fury and Tyson and Joshua come back, they're not going to do that again. They're going to go back to they're going to make 100 million, which is fine per title, but they're not going to get any better. And with Matthew, he's got a good defense. He can hit hard. But you know what? Now he's got a better defense. He can hit harder.
Definitely.
He's only learning it.
Like even the last few days there, we've been talking a lot about the footwork.
Yeah.
Before I believe I had good footwork before, but now, like, I'm only gonna keep getting better now, and I have to keep just listening to you, because I've noticed with you as well, you're not one of those coaches that think they know everything. You're always willing to learn as well, and that's what I love about it. You're not just one of these coaches that, oh, I know this. You don't, like Joe. If someone gives you advice, you take it on board too. So that's what I really like about that.
And Matthew, I'm not going, like we talked the other day. If somebody wants to be here, they want to be here. If I said, "Where were you yesterday?" I was at home.
Yeah.
You didn't turn up the whole week. I'm not going to chase after you, because if you want to do this, you got to be in the gym every day. Yeah. Eddie told me, Eddie told me to be in the gym at Top Rank when I first came here. He said be there at 11 o'clock. I was there at 10:45 every day.
Yeah, you're only cheating yourself, really.
That's what you do, and I like to know that too. And
well, I'm saying that as well, like Matthew, if you've not like been in this situation with Wayne yet, he would sometimes just like stop the timer, and he would spend like 15 or 20 minutes with you going through different like small movements, different footsteps, different positions that you would put yourself in the ring, where a certain shot would be coming at you, you could catch that shot, return the shot. You know, Wayne would just stop the timer, and he would be like, right, we're not like doing pads anymore.
Yeah.
You know, he'd be like, right, now I'm going to like coach you. I'm going to tell you what you should be doing in this situation, Alec. You need to repeat it over and over again. And he'd make me do it over and over and over again until we got it right. And
that's what Alex funny said. Yesterday when Matthew and Sean were leaving, I said to Matthew just outside the garage, remember? Over the weekend, practice your footwork, practice the defense, tilting the head. And I know they're going to do it. If they don't do it, I'll know they didn't do it either. Yeah. And I know you can practice so you don't practice, but you're cheating yourself if you don't practice.
Yeah,
I think it's fairly clear to see a fighter and their coach. It can be a very, very special one, insofar as Alex said, if you click, great things can happen. You know.
There's so many elements. There's so many elements to it as well. When you think about that, I recall one day me and Wayne went down to Top Rank and we had some sparring set up. And I was shadow boxing in the mirror in Top Rank, and I was getting ready to warm up, and Wayne came over and he knew right away. Now this, you know what, you've got all this stuff nowadays, sports science, and they take your blood and they check your lactic threshold level, and you know, but these old coaches, Wayne's like kind of like the last of the kind of like old school coaches, if you like. So one day I was shadow boxing in the mirror at Top Rank, getting ready to warm up for a fight. Wayne came over to me and he said, "Alec, take your wraps off." And I was like, "What? What do you mean?" He said, "Take your wraps off, you're going home." And I said, "Why am I going home?" He says, You're overtrained. You look knackered. You're stale." He said, "We're going to have tonight off. We'll come back tomorrow." I was like, "But we've got all the guys are set up for sparring." Wayne had spoke to Roger Mayweather. We had all the guys lined up. He went, "Alec, you're going home. You're not sparring today." He started taking my wraps off. I'd never done nothing like that in my life. He said, "You're going home. Go home, eat, rest. Tomorrow you'll feel great." I did.
That's because I want to look out for my fighters and do the best thing for them. If you get through in there and you're not, and you're feeling bad or whatever, you're going to get the crap out of you. What's the point?
But as fighters as well, like Matthew would know, you would just get on with the day. Wayne, you would have probably just got on with the day as well. You would have just kept going and got in there and sparred, and maybe you would have sparred like shit, took blows that you possibly never had to take.
You're right. Eddie had that with me. Eddie would say to me, "You're not sparring today," when you thought you were sparring.
I couldn't believe it when you done it. I couldn't believe it, because I always thought like pocket rocket, fight till he dies, the blood running out his shoes, he's going to keep going. And then he was like taking my wraps off. I was like, Wayne, what you doing? He's like, you're going home. You're going home today. You're not sparring today. You're going home. You're exhausted.
Something I want to, something that's come to mind, lads. I want to try before we wrap it up as well. It comes to mind again with Matthew. He had a big breakout fight here a couple of months ago. Matthew, you won't mind me saying so. I hope, and you know where I'm coming from when I said it was the wrong time for you. But something that really impressed me and really resonated with me was you and your dad. You're like, this is how you know you're talking to good, real, honest people. You both honestly said you wouldn't change a thing about it. He fought a guy who at the moment he's the best domestic pro in that level in Ireland, Senan Kelly, and big respect to him. He's got a big breakout fight coming on the McCullough card in Dublin in a couple of weeks' time. Massive support and massive props and shout out to him. But what I want to get to, lads, with in something that maybe you can relate. And Kevin, you told me before when you boxed Mike Tyson how the different tricks and the different stuff that he pulled on you. You can tell us a little bit about that. Alex, you went through it, man, up and down. I mean, Ricky Burns, Michael Gomez, all those lads. You boxed a great friend of mine as well, good old Carl Greaves. I can't believe you beat him up as well. And Carl went on to the corner.
I'm still friends with Carl to this day. I love that fella. He's such a nice man.
Here's another Carl. There's traits in Carl that I can relate to with Wayne, that he went through the same with poor Dex Spellman and Scotty Westgard. He went through all that and absolutely top of Carl's agenda every time as his fighters. But when you had the adversities then in the Hamed fight, I won't talk about that. I'm behaving myself here at the moment because I'm a good host. I won't offend anybody. But what I'm trying to put across is Matthew's going to come across these incidences in the ring at varying times of his career. And with all the preparation in the world, lads, am I wrong in saying that you're probably just going to have to, some of them you can never prepare for? Kev, what was Tyson? He tried a few tricks on you, didn't he? He was hugging you. He was doing a little bit of getting to know you, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's trying to bite my nipple off. He's crazy.
Right. He what?
He tried to bite my nipple off. He hit me so hard in the 6th round. I thought there was leprechauns playing drums in my head, but
he thought it was your ear, Kev. He couldn't reach your ears, so he had to settle for what he could reach.
No, he wasn't tall enough to
if you ever needed a chin like Wayne McCullough, it was that night, yeah.
And then he hit me so hard, I thought there was leprechauns playing drums in my head, so I grabbed the hold of him and I said, "Is that all you got?" And this was trying to break my arm. But then I could feel the energy going from him because it was catching good uppercuts, and then he just kind of, like, he was what do you call it, kind of falling. And all right, it might be like a bit of a push, but what do you call it? I was walking by him and I was thinking of picking him up, give him a hand up. I said, nah. But
Alex, and again, the energy in the build up to these big fights, Alex, the energy, I remember looking at it, and I look back at a lot of them, and I don't want to keep bringing up because it's easy to harp on about the good stuff, because what I firmly believe is all these adversities and all these things that happen throughout the line, they go on to fuel the best nights of your career. So the build up to these, the energy, the dressing room, the preparations, again, whether they're good, bad, they're probably never going to be perfect, but whatever the case may be, when that knock comes on the door, you got to put it all together, don't you?
Oh, 100%. Like, you have to be ready. You have to know in yourself as well that everything you've done in preparation is going to be with you on that evening. Like, you have to believe that everything you've done, when that door knocks, like you said, and you start to look back on everything you've done in camp, and if you've cut any corners, it goes straight in right away. You remember. So you have to be 100%. You've got to have done everything right. And you know what? To be honest with you, the majority of fighters, and Wayne will testify to this, so will Kevin, so will the lads, you probably never go into the ring 100%. There's always something up. There's always a cold or a sore hand, or the boys will say I've never been at 100% in a fight. So, and you have to deal with that adversity as well. You have to deal with that every time you fight. You know that you're never going to be 100%. I don't know any fighter that's ever been 100% walking to the ring. I don't know one.
Matthew, before we go to Wayne to talk about the last few minutes about that momentous night, which wasn't touched and repeated until it was only recently when TJ Doheny went and did the same thing in Japan, and he made a habit of going to Japan and winning. But I won't say it's easy to do it, but everyone can do it until it was done the first time. But Matthew, are we likely to see that run back again at some stage when you're able to put all that adversity together, when you're able to put it? Oh my God, there's that smile. It says more than any word could ever say. Should I even ask that? Or is what are the plans at the moment? And with the improvement, is it seems to me from talking to you and looking at you, and the hardest thing right now is probably holding it back, isn't it? It's keeping it. You just want to go, and it's something where Alex said that Wayne is able to spot that and say, "Hey, wraps off, you're going home."
Yeah.
Well, we're still really getting used to the climate over here and the breathing with the everything around, because the what's it called over here, the air,
it's just it's
humidity.
dry.
like
Oh,
we're
it's
still
awful.
we're
It's so
getting better
bad.
now.
It's so
But
difficult to deal with. So
Yeah,
It's a
difficult.
bit like Kildare.
hopefully in a few weeks we have a fight, and me and my brother we're very excited to get going. But I honestly, this is I always said I know I'm gonna be. I hope I'll be a world champion. But honestly, being with Wayne, he makes it really believe in yourself. To like, I've never felt the belief before than being with Wayne, because it's I don't know how to explain it. It's like he just gives you an extra bit of something in yourself that
Yeah, he definitely does.
when you know you have him
Without a
behind
doubt.
you know you can just take that extra bit of a chance. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that fight was sending there. I believe, hopefully, in the future we can get a rematch. I'm not saying I'm calling him out or nothing. I'm not doing that. I'm just saying, hopefully, when I'm ready with a 12-week camp, him with a 12-10 week camp, and Wayne in my corner, I believe that would be a very different outcome.
Yeah.
It's like anything
When-
with Alex and Matthew. When Alex first came over here and Matthew over, after the first or 2 days, I could have said, let's go and spar top rank. We didn't do that.
Yeah.
We waited for like a week or so, a week and a half, for Matthew even started moving around in the gym with Ray and stuff.
Yeah.
And Mother Pro. So, and right now he's ready to spar the big boys.
Yeah.
For the other gyms, but what's the point getting there when you can't even hardly breathe?
Yeah.
Because the up where I live here, it's about 2,800 feet high. So you're at high above altitude, and it's hard, but it's dry as well.
Yeah.
You know, it's dry. It's a dry heat.
It's horrible. It really is horrible. It's a horrible atmosphere to train in. Wayne was still unbelievably fit. I mean, he'll always be unbelievably fit, but he was still unbelievably fit when I went over. What was 2004, I think.
Yeah.
And Wayne took me running up the hills in Red Rock, and I think Wayne was saying it's like Alec is like 3,000, 4,000 feet up here, and he murdered me. He made me run all the way to the top, and all these lads, these like boy racer lads, started spinning like red dust at us. He started chasing the lads. He was chasing them. I said, "How can you run anymore? We've just run all the way up that hill." He's chasing these lads now. I said, "You're crazy." He's crazy, man.
Well, Matthew and Kevin, they've ran with me before, so
I never got a run with you again.
I run with the Pocket Rocket. I run in Bundoran on the beach, and we
It's
started
no
off.
fun. It's never fun running with Wayne. It's bloody awesome.
I'm getting tired just thinking about it.
just jogging.
I started off
honestly.
running with him,
And he was
Wayne
talking.
was
He
on
was
the way
talking
back
the
when I
whole
was
time.
only getting there.
He kept talking. He was talking. I couldn't even breathe. He was talking the whole way, telling me stuff, telling me stories.
When you're at a nice pace like that, you should be able to talk comfortably.
You didn't get tired though.
That was not a nice pace. That was not a nice pace.
Yeah. When we've got about 5 minutes left, I suppose, before we call it on this, what I want to do is again, I hope this goes a little bit to doing to remind people of where boxing has come from, where it's going, and where it's been and where it's going, and whatever the case may be at whatever level. We always need to be respectful and remember who did it and how did it and who paved the way, whether it's at what level, of what generation, what era. It's important to pay respect and look back on it. So when we're talking about respect, something that I'll always ask, and I've always asked you, and I probably bore a hole in your ear every time we talk about it, is about it's not about Vegas, it's not about the weather, it's not about the climate, it's about Eddie and in the build up to those big fights. And it's something that I can't help. I know for as much as I do that they play the biggest part in preparing a fighter, because we've seen how it shouldn't be done. So what I always want to talk, and you've always told me about those few days in the week or so in Japan and the build up to it, and how, as you said to me, and I think it's ironic that we're able to see that now that Matthew is saying the same, Alex is saying the same, that sometimes Eddie didn't say anything. He was just there with you all the time, wasn't he?
Eddie was there all the time, and I say the Japan fight, nothing was said to me till the dressing room. I'm ready to walk out to fight Yakushiji, and Eddie just said to me, "Okay, I want you to use your jab." And I was thinking, Yakushiji had a good jab. He was a good stand up straight, like point straight jab, but stand up straight. Eddie had me in the gym jabbing the body, going the head, slipping. So I went out there and started working my jab, and I thought, in the fight, you're thinking, I can't be this easy, but it wasn't easy. You know what I mean? But it was landing that jab, double jab, triple jab, was the thing that he worked on, and it all came together because you did it in a training camp. Alex, know this, Matthew. Your training camp, you do certain things, and it should come together for the fight, and then the fight it just came together perfectly.
Yeah, so
And
true. So
by
true.
the 10th round, Yakushiji knew he was so far behind. The fight was nearly over.
It's kind of like what we done with Burns. It's similar to what we done with Burns because Ricky Burns had a tattoo on like a cross on his chest, and I wasn't quite hitting the mark with a jab. And Wayne was like, I went back to the corner like round 2 or 3, and Wayne said to me, jab at the cross. And I was like, what? He said, jab at the cross, you won't miss him. I started jabbing at the cross. I was hitting him every time. Flush with the jab. And then I got to the jab started landing all night, and Ricky Burns got a great jab. But I took his jab away because my jab was so effective. Wayne was like, just keep working off the jab, everything else will come. Everything else will come. And it did.
Lads, those big nights, the glory nights, where you get to the top of the mountain, whatever, and everybody's mountain is a different height. Everybody's mountain has a different steep, it's a different trajectory, a different route, takes a different way of getting there. Some make it look easy. A lot of people seem to think when it's something that I take for, I always smile like when they say, oh, it was easy, you did it easy. But I think when you just get to know you a little bit or spend a little bit of time around you, it was only easy because you made it easy, because you worked bloody harder than most, if not all others. But the route, when you get to the top of that hill, it's not, is it, for most lads like me, we can only ever imagine what it's like we've seen Rocky, we've seen all those great films. When you're standing on top of the hill and you're looking back around you, talk to us about that feeling, lads. Whatever your hill is, whether it's with a WBC title over your head, whether it's with a WBA, WBO, Kev, whether it's taking your nipple back out of Mike's mouth and picking him up off the ground, whatever the case may be. Can you tell us, lads, and we let you finish, I suppose, each of you on your own, I suppose, thoughts when you're at that moment, that pinnacle of your career?
It's hard for anybody to say, but when you reach your pinnacle, WBC champion, Alex Arthur, world champion, Matthew, future world champion, Kevin McBride, he beats Mike Tyson. And I remember Kevin, I was in training camp in 2005 for my second Larius fight, and I bumped into Rich Murata. Rich Murata is my good friend, so he said, "Do you want to come watch Kevin's fight at my apartment?" I'm like, "Yeah." I said, "Kevin's going to win the fight." He looked at me and said, "Are you joking?" I said, "No, Kevin's going to win the fight. He's my friend. I'm backing up 100%." And then during the fight, we're sitting there, we got some of the Chinese food or something, and he turns around to me and said, "You were right." I said, "I believe in Kevin. I knew he could beat Mike Tyson." And if I was a betting man, Kevin, I'd have won $1 million on you.
Kev, you got to the top of that hill, whether Kev, the top of your hill, Kev, was whether it was when you went to the Olympics and then you beat Mike Tyson.
There's a lot of great fighters in Ireland. Even Katie Taylor. I think she's the pound for pound best female fighter in the world. But fighting is the toughest sport in the world. If you put in the work and you believe in yourself and you have a good back of, like Wayne or anybody, behind you. Like even the McCullough brothers are doing well back there in Ireland. So listen, boxing's a great sport, and keep the sport alive, and that's it.
Alex, last word goes to you, mate. What do you think yourself? Talk to us about the pinnacle, the highs, the lows, the roundabouts.
Good luck to everybody, all right?
Thanks, Kev, for joining. Thanks a million. Really appreciate it.
See, Kev.
See, Kev.
Well, like Wayne's probably reiterated on this as well. Like, it's a very, very long road. Like, when you look back on it, when it's all over and done with, it seems short. But when you're in the middle of it, like Matthew and the lads and stuff, it seems like it's going on forever. But it all goes very, very quickly. And you have to capitalize on all the great opportunities that lie in front of you at that time. And, for me, to train with not only my boyhood hero, and win championship fights and lose title fights with Wayne as well. It was like the whole experience is like something that we can look back on with pride. We can look back on it because we didn't come from the best backgrounds or whatever. We have to fight for everything we got, and I think we're kind of like the last of a dying era. I think everything's on a plate for loads of these lads now. The likes of Wayne, myself, we really had to fight for everything we had. Our Commonwealth Games gold medals, our World Amateur Championship medals, and then when we progressed to the pros, that route, all these lovely routes seem gone now.
Well, lads, listen, it's been an absolute, from my point of view, I just want to say to you, and it's something that, as much as I try to separate myself when you're presenting the podcast and when you're in that seat and you're trying to do it, you do try to have a little bit of a level. But I got to say, Matt, Alex, first time chatting to you, I won't hold it against you that you're friends with Cliff. Listen, we all have our crosses to bear. I know how it is.
Cliffy, baby, some fell away.
But listen,
man.
I really, really enjoyed sitting back and being able to listen to you guys, Big Kev, yourself. But he was meant to make it. Paul Buttermer's claim to fame is the only Irish amateur ever to beat Wayne McCullough, and he quit while he was ahead. He never went back to the ring, man.
He's a good lad.
Wayne,
Matt done his boxing in Dublin. We bumped into Paul in Dublin. We got some pictures with him and stuff. Love that.
Yes, he's a great guy.
Wayne, I want to leave it to you, mate. It's always been, and something the lads got from a boxing point of view, and something that I got from this side of things. Early on, I was lucky to talk to John Breen early on. I was lucky to talk to you early on, and I can relate to that sense of confidence, that sense of belief that you get in yourself when you've got somebody. You kind of, it's as silly as this might sound, you're able to say, well, if Wayne McCullough believes in me, who am I to doubt myself? And that's exactly that's the only way I can sum it up.
Well,
It's
right
I
here.
hope
Macklin and Matthew right here, and Sean, the brother, and Alex as well. You know, they're all the future.
I hope you can look. I hope you can look back on the event, on the occasion, and I hope you realize at times maybe not many people talk about it, or maybe not many people recognize it or acknowledge it. But I don't want you ever to think, mate, that it did go unnoticed. That there's a generation of Irish fight fans, and there is even lads like Alex Arthur's age and lads coming behind him who looked up to and inspired you. So
well, you say that, Al, but I have to say this whole week looking at social media has been fantastic, because you've had everyone coming together to relive and rejoice the occasion of 30 years ago, and it just shows how much it meant to everyone else, you know.
And
well, back then as well, I must say, like back then it was considered impossible. Like nobody gave Wayne a chance. Like you don't go to Japan and beat a Japanese fighter and take a world title off him. It just didn't happen. And you know, when it happened, I remember it like yesterday. I remember almost doing the whole 12 rounds as well. I remember standing the whole 12 rounds, throwing punches. like yesterday, it was unbelievable what happened at that time. And like we said earlier, people are too quick to forget about that stuff. You know, Wayne McCullough could go down and possibly as Ireland's greatest ever fighter, like overall, amateur, pro. You know, you've got to be honest with that, and you know, just admit it. Really, some people don't like admitting it. I know you've got this big divide and stuff, but when you look at overall the amateur career, the professional career, you've got to say Wayne McCullough's the greatest Irish fighter probably all time.
What do you think?
Yeah, lovely.
Brilliant.
Oh, look there. Do you know, Alex, one of the biggest controversies in the Irish media at the time, and it tells you how small-minded Ireland was at the time. The pages and headlines in the Irish media at the time centered around Wayne McCullough had highlights in his hair. Was he catch himself on, as they say over here?
And
he's still
very
good.
You see them there? You see in that picture? Perfect. The highlights, sure. Shut up.
Well, listen, lads, thank you very much, lads, for making it a really special occasion, for making the event, the episode itself. I don't doubt for a minute that there's many more special nights ahead where all you lads are going to be involved at different levels, and hopefully we'll be there to see every bit of it behind you all the way.